Hi everyone, welcome back to our channel Code for Tech Solutions. This is going to be one more amazing and trending topic we are going to cover today in this video. And our today's topic is full stack developers boost your full stack with React.js, Python and MariaDB complete tutorial. If you are really looking for and serious about full stack development and want to learn how to build modern web app from scratch, you have come to the right place. One more best thing about today's video is that we are going to use latest and most trending topics and technologies, and we are going to cover these with latest technologies with latest versions as well. And I am sure that by the end of this tutorial you will have a solid foundation in full stack development and you will be ready to start building your own projects using Angular, Python and MariaDB. I am also sure that you will create similar kind of other full stack applications if you are able to create this full stack from scratch. Prerequisites which we are going to use to create this full stack application. As an editor, we are going to use Visual Studio Code. For front end, we are going to use Angular 18 plus material library, and for the backend, we are going to use Python, Django REST framework, and MySQL client, which is a Python library to connect with MariaDB database. We are going to use this MySQL client, and as a database we are going to use MariaDB, and HDSQL, which is a database management tool for MariaDB, we are going to use. This is about all the prerequisites which we are going to use to create this full stack application. Next, we are going to create these points in sequence, like one by one we are going to see these points. First we will see the architecture diagram. Next I am going to show you a small user interface demo. Next we will see how we can create a MariaDB database on the backend side, and next we are going to create our backend application using Python Django framework. And these are some points which we are going to follow in sequence. Finally, we will create our front-end application using React.js, and in that we are going to use React table library and Axios library to connect with our backend REST APIs. And we are also going to implement advanced functionalities like searching, sorting, pagination in our React.js application. Finally, we will test our entire application functionality end-to-end through UI browser. This is about all the points which we are going to cover in sequence. Architecture, which tells us what exactly we are going to build today. Now on the front end side, we are going to create our front end application using React.js, and our front end application is visitor web underscore web we are going to create. And in that we are going to use React table and Axios library. With the help of React table, we are going to create a table, populate it with columns and data, and we are going to use functions and hooks available in this React table library. With the help of that, we are going to implement some advanced features and functionalities like searching, sorting, pagination, and with the help of Axios library, we are going to connect and interact with our backend REST APIs. This is about a front-end application we are going to create using React.js. Our front-end application will further connect with backend application, and our backend application name is visitor system, which we are going to create using Python as a backend language, and in that specifically we are going to use Django and Django REST frameworks to create this visitor system. And we are going to implement all our CRUD APIs and REST APIs using this Django and Django REST frameworks. And to test our REST APIs, we are going to use the Django REST framework user interface. Apart from that, to connect with the MariaDB database, we are going to use Python library, which is a MySQL client we are going to use to connect with database. And as a database, we are going to use MariaDB. So this is about the overall complete full stack application we are going to create using combination of React.js, Python and MariaDB as a database. This is our interactive user interface which we are going to build from scratch, and this is the header part, and this is the add and update panel. To create visitor or update visitor, we are going to use this control. This is for name, this is for email, and this is for purpose of visit. And this is the search filter with which we are going to filter out our table data, and this is the table with the columns and the table data along with the action buttons like edit and delete. And below this table we have this pagination section. Now let us add one entry and check how it works. Now let me add one entry. Let's say we can add Shiv Kumar, and let us add email for Shiv Kumar like shiv@gmail.com. gmail.com, and purpose of visit we can say business meeting, and we can click on add button. Now if you go to the last page, we can see the entry is successfully added, visitor entry, we have successfully created visitor with name Shiv Kumar. Now similar way, if you want to edit any record, we can simply click on that record. Let's say this is for Sandeep, and instead of Sandeep we can modify it to Robert, and here we can give the Robert email ID, and the purpose of visit we can say it's a uh, job interview, and we can update. Now we can see the entry is successfully updated with the help of this edit and update button. This is about how we can create a visitor and update it. Similar way, if you want to delete any record, let's say if you want to delete this record, we can click on delete button. Once we click on OK button, the record will get deleted from the table and from the UI. So this is about all the CRUD operations we are going to implement from scratch. Next, like we have the search filter. From here we can filter out any data. Let's say for individual John, individual records like Bob, and for Kiran. If you want to filter out for business meeting records or client meeting or job interviews, fine. So this filter is working fine. Similar way, we are going to implement the sorting functionality. This is on visitor ID. It will sort in ascending and descending order all these columns like on name, email, and purpose of visit. And finally, we are going to implement our pagination section. We can see once we click on next page, it will show the next 4 records. Likewise, it will keep on showing. And once we reach the last page, it will disable the next and last page, which is as expected. Similar way, once we click on previous button, it will take us to the previous page. Likewise, it will keep on taking us until we reach the first page. If we click on last button, it will take us to the last page, and if we click the first button, it will take us to the first page. This is about all the functionalities like CRUD operations, searching, sorting, pagination we are going to implement from scratch. So I will request you all, so please watch this from start to end so that you will not miss any functionality in between. So I have built several projects using different tech stacks, and these are some different combination of full stack applications. Each one offers something unique. And don't forget to check out the rest of the videos in this series for more insight into full stack development. And don't forget to subscribe to follow along with new updates. Now let us create our database using MariaDB. So to create a database, we are going to use HDSQL, which is a database management tool. Now here we can, and this is the session, and we can click on open. And here you can see these are some existing databases. Now let us create our new database. We can write on session 1, and here you can see create new database option. Here we can give our database name, which is a visitor underscore master we can give, and we can see our database is created successfully. Now let us create our backend application using Python. For that, here to create our Python application, before that we can create our virtual environment using this command, and here we can name our virtual environment. We are creating this virtual environment to install our project specific libraries, and these are some folders. You can see this virtual environment folder is created with subfolders like include, lib, and scripts. Our libraries will go inside this lib folder. Now once the virtual environment is created, we need to activate that. So for that, we first need to go to our virtual environment. Next we need to go inside scripts, and next we can use activate command. Now next thing, we can install what all things we require, like we can install Django REST framework. These are two web frameworks we are going to use for Python backend development. And next, like we are going to use MySQL client. This is the Python library, or we can say adapter we are going to use to connect with our MariaDB database, and this is the same library we are going to use for connecting a MySQL as well as MariaDB database. Now these dependencies or libraries will get installed inside this lib folder. And once it is installed, we can check by using piplist command. Now here we can use this piplist command and check. So these are libraries we have installed successfully. This is the Django and Django REST framework, and this is the MySQL client to connect with our MariaDB database. Now next thing what we can do, we can create our backend project using Django framework. So for that we can use this command Django admin, and we can say start project, and here we can give our project name, which is visitor underscore system. This is our project is created with all the default files and folders, and this is settings.py file. Now next thing we can go to our visitor folder, project folder, and we can create our application inside this using command python manage.py, and we can say start app, and here we can give our application with name API. Now here we can see it has created our application with name API, and this is the application wherein we are going to store all our REST APIs which we are going to create on backend side. Now next thing we need to configure our database. So we can go to our settings.python file which is inside our project folder. Now here let us go to installed app, and here we need to add first we are going to use the REST framework. Next we are going to use our API as a application we need to include. Now next thing here we can come down, and here is our database section, and our backend Python application is using SQLite 3 as the default database. Now we need to use uh, our engine for connecting to our MariaDB database, and we are going to use MySQL as the engine to connect to MySQL database as well as MariaDB database. And here we need to mention our database name, which is our visitor underscore master. Next we need to mention user, which is root, and whatever username password you have set you can mention it here. Next we need to mention our host name, which is a local host, and we need to mention port, which is 3308. So let us check what port our MariaDB server is running. So let me open the properties, connection properties, and this is the connection port 3308. Seems good. Same port we need to mention it here. Now with this we are done with our database configuration for MariaDB. Now next thing we can create our model. So this is our model. So here we can create a class with name, let's say visitor. Inside that we are going to use models.model, and here we can use what all properties we are going to use for that. We can use models.charfield, and here we can mention the max length, let's say 150 for now. This is for name. Similar way we can mention few more properties. Let's say this is for email, and this is for like purpose of This is for purpose. Okay, so this is basically purpose of visit, or we can mention purpose of visit. Now next, after that we can use like let's say class meta, and inside that if we want to create our table name, we can mention it at here, otherwise our application create it automatically with some different name. Now here we can use we want table visitor to be created by our application, so we need to mention it, and here we can define one string interpretation for this, and here we can return our self.name and we can save it. So we have created our model at here. Now let us create our serializer. Here we can create one serializer file. Now why we need to create a serializer? Because we want to convert our model instance into our JSON format, we require serializers, so we are using this. Now we need to import the serializers from REST framework, and next thing we are going to import our model, which is visitor. We can create our uh, serializer with name visitor serializer, and here we can use serializers dot model serializer. Now here we can use a class meta, and here we need to mention what is the model, and for model we are going to use visitor, and we need to mention what all fields we want to use as a we want to use for the serialization purpose. So we can mention a specific fields or a set of fields, or we can mention all fields we want to be in a serialization process. Fine, so we have created this visitor serializer successfully, and the purpose of creating this serializer is to convert our model instance into JSON format. Now we can save it. Next thing, like we need to run our migration command, so we need to create migration files and apply that. For that we can use one command, which is python manage.py, and we can use make migrations. Make sure you have saved all the files before you run this command. This command will prepare all the database related files, so that we will create our database related schema on the backend side. Okay, so it has successfully created the files inside migrations. Now let us apply this migration so that it will get complete. Now we can use the migrate command. Okay, so let us check what is missing inside our settings.xml file. So while configuring the database, there is some mistake. So password. Now it has created successfully. The password was incorrect, due to which it was failing. Now let us check on the database side. So here we can refresh our database. Now we can see it has created all the respective tables, and this is our table. Now right now there is no data in this table, and we can check the table data. There is no table data, only headers it is showing. Now let us create our one view inside our application, and this is our view file inside which we are going to create our view, and for that we are going to use view sets, like from REST framework we are going to import view sets. Next thing, from models we are going to import our model which is visitor. From serializers we are going to import our visitor serializer, and here we can create one class with name like visitor view set, and here we can use view sets dot model view set, and here we can use query set. For that we can use visitor dot objects dot all we can use. Next we need to mention serializer class which is visitor serializer in our case, and we can save it. So we have created this view. Now in Python using Django REST framework we have various options to create a view, but we are choosing this model view set using view set which is available inside REST framework. Now the best thing with this model view set, it is the recommended approach and most popular, and it will automatically create actions for retrieve, create, update and delete actions, so we don't need to write much boilerplate code, and we can save it. Seems good. Now next thing, we need to configure the URLs. So we need to first create our application specific URLs. We need to create this file. Inside that we need to write our code. So we are going to use Django URLs. Next we are going to use our router, and from this we are going to import the default router. Next like we are going to use import our view which is visitor view set, and here we can initialize our router with the default router, and we need to register our view set with this router. Let's say here we can add one endpoint which is visitors, and after that we can mention our view set which is a visitor view set. Next thing, like we can use URL patterns. For this, inside array we can mention what is the path, and for this we can mention API slash, this is the application name slash, and here we can mention, we need to include our like router dot URLs. That's it, we can save it. So what we have done to create our application specific URL, so we are going to use Django URLs, and these are some imports for path and include, and we are using the default router, and this is our view set. Now here we have initialized a router with default router, and we have registered our view set to this router, and this is the endpoint. And here for URL patterns we have mentioned this path, and path starts with API, and this here to map with this path we have included routers.urls. Now we can save it. Now this is about application URLs. Now we need to include our application URL inside our project URL. So let us open this and add this path which is for our application. We need to include our application URL, and here we can use api.urls. We need to add import for this include, and we can save it. Seems good. Now we are done with all our coding. Now next thing, we can run our application using command python manage.py, and we can use the run server. Now we can see our server has started, our application has started on dev server, and this is the URL. And here to prepare a path, we need to go to this URL patterns. This is for projects, and it is using the application URLs, and this is our application URL. Path starts with API, and this is the visitors endpoint. So we need to add API first, and next like we need to add visitors as an endpoint. Now it is showing the Django REST framework. This is it. It is the Django REST framework provides this user interface for us, and with this user interface, we are going to test all our REST APIs. Now, right now, visitor list is showing empty list because we do not have any data as of now. So let us add one record. Let's say it's a John. Let's say John Doe, and email we can add john@gmail.com, and purpose of visit we can say business meeting, and we can add. Now we can see one record is successfully added. Similar way we can add one more record. Now here we can use Bob. Let's say Bob, and here we can say Smith, and this is the Gmail for Smith, and here we can say it's for job interview, and we can add. Now this is the second record we have successfully added. Now if we check the visitor list, we have two records. Let us add one more record. Let's say it's for Peter, and here we can add one Gmail for Peter, and the purpose of visit we can say conference, and we can post it. Now we have three records. Now let us cross check into the database whether it is added into the database or not. We need to refresh our database. We can see we have three records in a as expected. Now if you want to check visitor for third ID, so it will fetch the particular record and populate all these name, email, and purpose of visit for this third record. Now here we have put button. Now let us change it, like instead of Peter we can modify it to Kevin, and same for here it's Kevin's Gmail, and instead of conference we can say it's a client meeting, and we can update it. Now we can see it has successfully updated. Now let us check the visitor list and third record. We can see it is updated. Similar way, if you want to delete any record, we need first need to go to that ID, page that record for that ID, and here you can see the delete button. Once we click on delete button, it will ask for the confirmation. Once we click on delete, it will delete the record. Now let us check the visitor list. We have only two records because the third one we have just deleted. Now similar way we can cross check into the database. Now we have only two records. That means it is working fine. So with this we have done with all our CRUD operations. Now next thing, like as our Python application is running on some different port, and our Angular application and our React.js application is running on some different host and port name. So in our backend application may show some course origin issue. Just to resolve that, we need to add some solution for that. So let us add. So this is our Python application. In this terminal it is running. Now let in Python we have some library, like we can install that, pip install, and we can say course headers, like this is the Django course headers. This is the library we need to install. Now we can cross check with piplist command and check if the library is installed. Seems good, it has successfully installed. This is the Django course headers. Now we need to go inside settings.py Python file, and here we need to add few more entries. Like here we need to mention course headers at here. Similar way we need to add one entry for middleware, like here we can say course headers dot middleware dot, we can use course middleware. And next thing, to enable our course origin, we need to add one last entry, like here we can say course allowed origins, and here we need to mention our host name of our React.js URL, so which is let's say http localhost, and we can say 5173. This is our React URL, React front-end URL. So we have mentioned all the steps so that it will not show any course origin related issue. What we have done, we have installed this library, Django course headers. Next, we have added one entry inside installed apps. Next, we have added one entry in middleware, and finally, we have enabled our course for this our React.js URL. With this, we are done with our backend application. Now, let us create our React.js front-end application. So in one terminal, our Python application is running. Similar way, we can create our one new terminal in which our React.js application we can create. So we can use command npm create. Can use suite @latest, and here we can give our application name, which is visitor underscore web. With this command, it will create our new front-end application with name visitor web. Can say y to proceed. Here we can select React, and for we can select next as JavaScript. Now let us go to our project folder, which is a visitor web, and we can install the dependencies using command npm install. You can see in the left pane it has created visitor underscore web folder with all the default files and folders, and this is package.json. Inside this package.json we have dependencies folder, inside which these are some libraries we have already added. Now let us wait for few seconds till it completes. We can see it has completed successfully. Now let us run this command, which is npm run dev, to run our front-end application. So we have created the React.js front-end application successfully, and we are running in the browser. Here we can open the browser. You can see our React application is running fine. So this is running as expected, seems good. Now next thing what we can do, let us clear everything, the content which is already there, so we can clear that so that we can make a fresh start. Now this is the app.jsx, we can clear everything from here. We can remove this count constant, unused imports, and we can save it. Next, like we can remove everything from app.css. Now we have everything cleared. Next thing we can do, like here we can let us create our main container div, which we need to create inside app.jsx. Here we can give some class name, like it's a visitor container or visitor main, we can say. Inside that we are going to create one more div, which is for add and edit add an update panel, and after that like inside this div we will be having some controls. Now after that we can create one input search. This is for search filter, and here we can say search input, and for placeholder we can say search visitor. Here we can give some class name, as this is for input visitor or search visitor, and we can save. Now let us add some so before this, like inside this we can create one h3 header, and here we can give some meaningful name, like it's a full stack web app with React JS, Python, Django, and it's a MariaDB. For this we can add some, so we can add some class name as a, or here we can skip this, we can add inside our CSS file. Seems good. Now it is showing the header, and this is the text box. Now let us add some small CSS. We can copy this visitor main, and this is our app.css. Next we have h3, and after that we have search visitor as a input search, and after h3 we have like add update visitor. So this is add update panel, we can copy and add to our app.css. Now let us add some small CSS, like we can mention some width, let's say 587 pixel. And next we can add some height, like fit content. Next we can add some margin left, let's say 75 pixels somewhere. And finally we can add some, this much is enough, we can save it. Next for h3 we can add some color, and we can choose this color for the header. We can add text alignment as a center, and we can save it. For add and edit panel we can say we can add some width same as above, 587 pixel. Next, like we can add height, let's say 60 pixel, and we can add some border, let's say 1 pixel solid, and we can add some background color. Let us take this background color and we can save it. Now next we have the input search. We can add some margin top for this, let's say 35 pixel. Next we can add some border, 1 pixel solid, and next we can add some border radius, let's say 5 pixel. After that we can add height, let's say 25 pixel, and after this we can add some width, let's say 210 pixel, and we can save it. For this we can add some background color, and we can save it. Seems good. Now we have everything in place. Now let us add some input boxes for our name and these are some fields like name, email, and purpose of visit. For this we need to add some input boxes. So for that we can create for name we can create one div, and here we can give some class name like this is for our uh, add update div, and here we can first add one label, and here we can say it's for name, and we can give it's a name label. After that we can add one line break, and after that we can say we can add one input text, and this is for name. Same we can add for name, and we can add some placeholder. No need to add the placeholder, this much is enough. And here we can add some class name like add update div in, it's for input, and we can save it. Now let us add some small css for this. Now here we can add, so this is our add and update panel. So we have already added this. Now let us add one div. So what is this? Div in. So we can copy this. Okay, so first we need to add an update div, which is right, because we have added for upper panel. Now this is the div. So let us add the div related entry, like we can add some margin left, let's say 5 pixel. Next we can add some display, let's say inline block we can take, and we can save it. So this is for add and edit div, add and update edit div. Now next we can copy this input box, and let us add some css for this input. So we can copy this border and border radius as is and edit it here. Now next thing we can add some height, and for width we can take, let's say 140 pixel, seems good. Now this add and edit panel, margin left it is not applied, let us save it. So this is the add update div, we can, so this is add update div, we can copy and edit it here, so it should work, seems good. This is for name. Now similar way we can add for this is for one field which is for name, so we can copy it and we can add two more, for one for email. So this is the email, and here we can say it's for email, and same here we can add email. Now next this is for purpose, we can say purpose of visit, this is the label it will show, and for this here we can say, so what is the so this is the same field we can use for our UI. So here instead of this we can say name as a purpose of visit, and here we can say it's a purpose of visit, and we can save it. Now it seems good, it is showing as expected. Now let us add some bright color right here, this is the panel, so we can take some bright color. Let us see how it looks, seems good, now it is looking good. Now this is for name, email, and purpose of visit. Next we need to add like add and submit and cancel button, or add and cancel button. So let us add that. Now this is our app.jsx. Now here we can add one button, and for this we can say this is the add button. You can add some class name, let's say add button. In similar way we can add one cancel button, and this is the cancel button, and we can save it. So let us add some small CSS for these two. Now here we can add copy the border and border radius and edit it here. Now here width we can mention like 60 pixel, and here we can use font size, let's say 11 pixel. Next we can add some margin left, let's say 5 pixel, and background color we can add some background color. Okay, we can take some light color. Seems good. Now this is for add. Similar way we can add for cancel button, and here instead of this color we can take some red color, or we can take some light color. And here our it should label as a cancel, not add. You can save it. Seems good. Now we have add and we have cancel as well. Now if we want to add some font color, we can add. Or we can check some color, like let's say 175 to 31. So let us take some color which is like for red it should. Let us take help of for the colors. So we can take, like, let's say this is. Now here we can take some light color. Okay, now it seems good. Here we can remove this color. Now it seems good. This is for cancel and this is for add. Now here is our search visitor, and here for this we can add the background color as well if we want. So let us add some background color for these input boxes. This is on, these are the input. So let us add some background, and we can save. Seems good. Now it is showing good. Now next thing what we can do, like here below this we are going to show some table. So let us add that. For table, like here after this input search, now this control is bit, we can remove this distance. So this is for search visitor here. For margin top we can make it 25 and see. Okay, seems good. Now let us add the table after this search visitor. So this is here we can add one line break, and after that we can use table. And for table we have generally the structure, like we have t head, and here is our tr. Inside that we are adding the header part. So this is for head. Similar way we have body, t body, and for t body we have tr rows, and inside that we have td to display the data. So this is our general structure we used to follow for the table. Now for this headers, like we can show. Okay, so this is the general structure we used to follow. Now as we are going to use angular as we are going to use react table, so we can use it here. We can install that first. Now we can use command like npm install, and for that we can use react table for react table, and we are going to use activos as well to connect with our backend REST APIs. Okay, so basically we can cancel it, because first we need to go to our project folder, so which is our visitor web, and inside that we can use this command npm install react table and activos. Now let us use force. Now if we open this package.json, we can see it has installed this react table and axios. That means we have successfully installed these two packages. Now we are going to use the available functions and hooks in react table, and we can see how we can generate a table and create the headers and create data for that table. So let us see that part. Now let us use the hooks and functions available in our react table library. We can use this use table hook, and we can import it from react table. Next, like we are going to import star as react from react. Next we can import axios from axios. Now we can save it. Now let us define some constant to hold the data, like we can define, so let's say this is the visitors array, and we can use set visitors method, and here we can initialize it with some, this is the use state. Inside that we can initialize it with empty array. Now similar way we can define one constant for columns, and for this we can use react.use memo, and inside which we can use this So this is for columns. Similar way we can define for data. And here this is the data. Okay, so these are some, this is the constant to hold the visitors, and this is the columns. For this column we can use, like inside this array we can add, first is a header, and in that we can name our visitor id is a first header. Next, like we can add accessor, and for accessor we can say it's a visitor id we can give. So accessor is the same what we are using in our application. If we check, like here, API dot visitors, this is the id field, and same field we need to use for this id as an accessor. So this is for one column header. Similar way we can add for few more. So this is the visitor id, and next we can use, this is for name, and we can use the name, and this is for email, and this is for, like, we can copy that, which is the purpose of visit, and we can save it. Now for this data we can use, this data will contain visitors array, so we can add it here. Now next thing, here we can give comma to complete it, and we can save it. This is for id. Okay, fine. Now next thing what we can do here, we need to generate the headers using the hooks and functions available in that. So let us do that. Okay, now here we are going to generate our actual table. Okay, so we can remove this part inside table, and we can use the hooks, and or we can keep as is. Let us check how we can do this. Now here we can use, now here first we can define one constant for table as well, and which is going to use, like, we are going to use table, and in that, like, we are going to use columns and data, which is holding our visitors data, and we can add the like new hooks and functions as we need. Now instead of table we can use the particular functionalities, what all things we are going to use, like, we are going to use get table props. Next, like, we are going to use get table body props. We are going to use, next, like, header groups, rows, and we can use prepare a row. Now this much is enough, we can add as we need. Now here we can use this get table body props at the table level. This is the function we are using for get table body props. After that, inside this t head, we can use we can use header groups, and we can call map on that. And for each header group, we are going to iterate it on. Okay, so here we can use this bracket, and we are going to generate the rows. Inside that, we can cut it and add it at here. And for each row, we are going to use, like, this is our header groups, header group dot get header properties. We can use get header group props, and after that we can use key, and for this we can define hg.id as a key. Now this is for row, and similar way we are going to use for each row, like for each headers we are going to call map on that. And let's say for each headers we can use column data, and use this bracket, and inside that we can render our header. So we can cut this part and add it here to render the headers, and for this we can use the hooks, like we can say column dot get header props, and next we can add some key, as in, like, you can say column dot id, and here to render the actual header, like we can use column dot render method, and what we are going to render, that we can pass it at here, like that is the header we are going to render, and we can save it. Now we can see it is showing these headers. These headers is nothing but what we have mentioned it here, like this is the header part, visitor id, name, email, and purpose of visit, and same it is showing it here. Okay, seems good. It is showing the headers. Now let us populate the data part as well. Now for that, this is the table body, and here for the table body we can use get table body props. Next, here we can use row, and on that we can use map, and for each row we are going to iterate on the row, and we are going to first prepare our row. We can call this function and pass this row. Next, like, we are going to return our row. So this row we can cut from here and add inside this return statement. Seems good. Now for each row we are going to use, like, row dot get row props, and here we can use some key, and here we can use row dot id. Next, like for row, we are going to call cells, and we are going to map on cell, and for each cell we are going to render it. So this is the data part we are going to render. We can cut and edit it here, and what we are going to use it here, like it is the cell dot get cell props, and for this we can add some key as like cell dot id, and what we are going to render, it's like we can add inside bracket cell dot render we can call, and here we can mention this is the cell we are going to render, and we can save it. Now here we can see it is not showing any data as of now, because we have not created the get API which will give a call to our backend REST APIs, and we need to make sure our backend application is running. Seems good. Now let us create one get API. Now this is for populating the body part we are done with. Now let us create one get API inside our it here. So we have copied this backend URL. We have called Axios the get method to call the backend REST API, get API, and this is our backend API URL we have passed, and here we are calling then, and we are collecting the response set here, and here we can log the data, like we can say it's a response dot data. Next thing, we can set our visitors with this data, like response dot data, and we can complete this. Now as of now it is not showing the data because we need to give a call to this one. For that we can call our react dot use effect, and here we can initialize it with some dependency array, and here we can give call to our get all visitors, and we can save it. Now let us check. Seems good, it is showing the data which is as expected. Now let us add some CSS part to this table and the data. Let us do that. Now this is the CSS. Now we can add one table, and we can add some margin top, and let's say it's a 12 pixel. Next we can add some width as like our main container. Next we can add height, which is a fit content. Next after that we can copy the border and border. Next we are going to add border collapse as a collapse, and let us see how it looks. Seems good. Now let us add some text align as a center, and we can save. Seems good. Now it is showing as expected. Now next let us add some header color. We can add one border like 1 pixel solid. Next we can add some font size, let's say 15 pixel for headers, and we can add some line height. For line height we can add 18 pixel, and let us add some background color. For background color we can take some color like RGB 176 and 235 somewhere. Let us check how it looks. Seems good. Now let us add one even row child color, like this is the nth child. We can say for every even row. We can add some background color. Seems good. Now it is looking good. Okay. Now it is looking good. Now we are done with our CSS part. Now let us focus on our add functionality. So once we enter any text at here, like, so that we need to capture. So for that we need to define one constant. So let us define one constant at here. So after this data we can define one constant, like we can say like visitor data, and we can use set visitor data, and we can use state. Inside that we can define like name as a blank. Next we have email as a blank, and after that we have like purpose of visit, which we can take as a blank, and we can save it. Now this will hold the user data. So to do that we need to use this inside our these controls. So this is for name. Here we can use like as a value we can use this user visitor data dot name. So this is for name. Similar way here once we enter some text, and if we change that text, so we need to handle that change event. So for that we can use like on change. Here we can use function handle change function we can use, and for that we can call the function, and we can use set visitor data, and here we can use we are going to set visitor data, and for that we are going to use e dot target dot name, and we are going to set e dot target dot value, and complete it. Now similar way we need to add, this is for name, similar way we need to add for this handle change, we can call on change event, and this is the handle change. Seems good. Now here we can use it for, this is for input name. Similar way we need to add it for email, and here we can use email, and this is for purpose of visit, and we can add it for purpose of visit, and here we can add constant before this, and we can save it. Seems good. Now let us check how it works. Now once we, now here, okay, so here whatever data we will enter, that will get captured inside this visitor data. So this is the visitor data which will capture. Now what next we can do, once we click on add button, it should submit the data. So let us do that part. Now let us see where is our add button. So this is the add button here. So here, this is the add button. Here we can use click functionality or on click, and here we can call handle add update. So this button we are going to use for add and update button. So we can use this function, and here we are going to pass the like visitor data. Just handle add and update is fine. So let us check here. We can define this function. Once we click on add button, this function should get called, and here we can mention now we can use async before this, because we are going to create one new visitor, and here we can use await. Now before this, like we can use this e dot prevent default. Next thing, as this is going to be used for add and edit, so we can use like if our visitor data dot id, if we have this id, then there is another functionality. So if we have a id, then we should go for update visitor, or else we should go for like create visitor. Now let us call, if initially there is no visitor, so we should go for create visitor, and we can use await axios. We can call the axios post method, and here we can copy this part. Like let us copy this part and see. We can simply change it from get to post, and for the post method, like we are going to pass the user data as well. So we can use like visitor data we are going to pass, and here we can simply log the data, which is a response.data. That's it. Now this is for post, we are done with. Now let us check how it works. We can save it. Now let us see, let us check by adding one entry. Now here we can add one name, like let's say this is for visitors, so we can say Kevin, and here we can add Kevin's email @gmail.com, and purpose of visit we can say we can say it's a meeting, and click on add button. Yes, the Kevin is getting added, but only after we refresh it. So just to avoid refresh, we need to give a call to get all visitors. So for this, and whatever text we enter it here, that should get cleared as well. So for that we can call, after this we can call so we can call clear all, and inside this function we are going to give a call to get all visitors. So we can define this function it here, constant clear all, and we can say get all visitors we are going to call, and before we call we are going to clear the context. Like here we can give, like this is the, we can copy this part, and here, like here we can set visitor data, and we can set the blank data, and we can save it. Now let us check by adding one more entry. So it basically it should show the data without refreshing. Now let us add one more entry. Let us add one Peter, email of peter@gmail.com, and purpose of visit we can say interview, or instead of interview we can say business meeting, and we can click on add. Seems good. Now we can see the record is successfully getting added into our business meeting. Now if you want to cross check into our database side as well, so we can open this ADSQL. Now this is about addition which is working as expected. Now let us add edit and delete button so that we can check that functionality as well for edit and delete. Now let us open this ADSQL, and here this is our visitor data, and this is a visitor table, and we can go to data, and we can see we have 4 records, which is as expected. We have added 2 more records. Seems good. Now it is reflecting inside the data. Next let us add some edit and delete column. So we can copy this, and here we can add one more thing, like this is for edit, and for accessor as well we can use edit, small edit, and here we can add one more ID field, which is add as edit, and after this, like we are going to add cell, and for this we can use props, and for this props we are going to add one button, and here we can say it is a edit button. For this we can add one, so here we can add some class name as a edit btn, and we can save. We can see it has added edit button. Now similar way we can add one more button for edit delete. We can copy this, and after this we can add delete functionality. So this is for delete, and here button name, class name we can give delete button, and we can save it. Now let us add some CSS part for these two. So let us go to our app.css, and here we can add dot edit vtn, and we can copy like border and border radius, and we can save it. Now for edit button we can mention font size as a 10 pixel, and line height we can take as a 12 pixel, and we can save it. Width we can make as a 55 pixel, and we can save it. And we can add some background color. Let us take this background color, and we can save it. So this is for edit. Similar way we can add for cancel button or delete button. For delete button we can change the color as a red, and here we can say it is for delete button. Seems good. Now instead of red we can take some other color. Seems good. Now it is looking good. So this is delete, and this is the edit part. Now when we click on edit button, so this data need to capture it here. So let us to add that functionality. So here we have this edit button. So here we can call on click functionality, and here we can say set visitor data. This is the function we can call. Now here for calling this function you can use set visitor data, and here for this data we are going to pass the row, and to pass the row we are going to first access the props. On that we can call the cell, and on that we can access the row on the cell using this cell, and on this cell we can call original. That's it. Now we can define one constant function for this set visitor data. It here, this is the constant, and here we can use like let's say we have received this row data, and we can set visitor data with data we can set. Or here we can say handle update data, set updated, or set we can use this function as an handle update data, and the same we are going to call from our edit functionality, edit button. So instead of this we can use this one, and we can save. Okay, now let us check how it works. Once we click on edit button, it is getting populated for Peter, this is for Bob, and this is for Kevin. Seems good. It is working as expected. Now once we modify this data and click on add button, it should submit the data. So for that let us add the functionality. So we have already added that functionality, but right now this is for update. Once we modify something it should show the update, and once we click on update it should work for updation. Now this is our Let us go to add button where we are adding. This is the add button. Now here we can use like our, if we have visitor data dot id is there, in that case we are going to show the label as a update, or else we are going to show the label as add, because if id is not there, that means we are going to create one new record. That's it. Let us see how it shows. Now it is showing update. Seems good. Now once we click on update button, the data should get updated. So let us do that. Now for add button, we are this is our add button. On click of add button or update button, we are calling the same function, handle and add update. So this is handle, add and update. This is for creating the data. We can copy, and here we can add. For updation, we can either use put or patch method. We can use put method, and here we need to add, we can use this backticket here, and here we need to pass our user id as well, like it's a visitor data dot id. We need to pass against this visitor id, this modified data will get saved or modified. Now let us check how it works. So let me copy this Peter, and instead of Peter we can say it is Samuel, and the same Gmail we can add for Samuel, and it's like training session we can say, and we can update. Now let us check why it is not giving. So this is the, okay, so let us use await before this. This is the post, and we can use await before this as well. And let us add slash which is ending. Now let us check how it works. Now this is the Peter. Instead of Peter we are going to use, let's say, Sachin, and here we can add some Sachin Gmail, and here we can say some training session, purpose of visit, and we can click on add button. Seems good. It is updated successfully, and let us cross verify into the database as well. So we can refresh it, and the last record we have updated successfully. So this is for updation. It is working fine. Similar way we can add for delete functionality. Now this is our on click for edit. We can copy this on click, and let us add for delete as well, and here we can say it's a handle delete, and this is the functionality. Here we can copy this, and we can define one method for delete. Can add constant for delete, and here for delete we receive the data, raw data, and here we can use a sync because we are going to delete the data, and we are going to call, let us copy this put method and add it here, and instead of put we can use a delete method. And for the delete method, like for to delete the data we just require the data.id, which is enough to delete, and no need to pass the data. And we can collect the response, and we can log it. Now after this, like we have changed our list, so we can use set visitors list. Now here we need to set it with some different response data, which is this one, and we can save it. Now this is the handle delete function. Let us see how it works. Now for this, we need to check before we go for delete, we need to check for confirmation. So we can add one constant, we can say is confirm, and here we can use window.confirm, and here we can use are you sure to delete. And once we can click on OK button, like it is confirm, then inside that we need to add this functionality. We can cut this part and add it here so that it will get deleted. Okay, now let us check how it works. So this is the complete delete functionality. Now let me open on this. We can copy this URL and we can open into the browser. Now let me remove some initial margin top. So this is our CSS. Or we can add some margin bottom, let's say 550 pixel, and we can save it. Seems good. Now it is coming. Now let us click on some delete functional. Now let us see how we can delete. Once we click on delete button for this last record, which is of Sachin, once we click on confirm that OK button, the record should get deleted. Yes, seems good, but we need to refresh that. So just to avoid that refresh, we need to add our window.location.reload it here. So this is the delete. After this, once we complete this, we can add window dot, or inside this OK button we can call window dot location dot. Now let us check by deleting one more entry. Now this is the delete. Once we click on OK button, the record will get deleted without even refreshing the page. Seems good. Now let us check into the database. It should show only 2 records. Seems good. With this, all our CRUD operations are working fine. We have tested all those from end-to-end functionality. Now next thing, we can focus on our search filter, sorting and pagination section. Now let us use our search filter. So here we can use our global filter we can use, and for this we can mention it here. So this is our table related use table hook, and inside that we can use and here we can use like set global filter, and here we can define one constant, like we can say it's a we can use this global filter, and here we can initialize it with state, and for this state we need to add it here. We are going to use state. Now we need to define this set method. Now we can copy it and let us go to the search filter. So this is the search filter. Here for the value we can set our global filter or empty if there is no filter applied, and we can add some on change event. For the on change we can call this like set global filter, and here we can add e dot target dot value to set this global filter. So we are passing this e8 here. Now let us see how it works. Now we have defined what all things we have done. This is the use global filter hook we have used, and we have mentioned inside this our use table, and we have set global filter. We have defined one global filter constant, initialized it with state, and finally here we are using this value which is a global filter or blank, and on change event we have handled. Now let us see how it works. But for that we need to add some few more records so that we can see it is working fine. So let us add some records, like we can add one Peter. Email is like peter@gmail.com, and here purpose of meeting we can say conference, and we can add similar way we can add one more record like for Sandeep we can add Sandeep Gmail, and purpose of visit we can say it's a, let's say, training session. We can say Sachin More next, and for this we can add Sachin@gmail.com. It should be Gmail, and here purpose of visit we can say it's a client meeting, and we can add we can add couple of few more records like let's say it's a Kiran. We can add Kiran Gmail. So we can add a couple of records so that we can apply our pagination part as well. Now here we can say it's a conference. Now it's a, let us add one David Gmail for the same, and purpose we can say it's a job interview. Let us add Kevin Gmail we can add, and purpose of interview we can say it's a business meeting. Now we have 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8. Seems good. Now we have at least we can show 2 pages with this, and we let us search for apply our search filter at here. Now let us search for our business meeting, for conference, and for training session. We have only one training session, and let's say job interview. Seems good. Now for particular name we can say for John, for Peter. Seems good. For Kiran, key. It is working fine, so filter is working. Now next thing we can apply the pagination to this. So for that we can use our hook inside this one, like we can use pagination, and we can add this at here. And for pagination instead of row we need to use page, and we can iterate on page as well. And here, okay, so we can copy this, and instead of row we can use page, and we can save it. Now here below this table we are going to show the pagination section. So here we can create one div, like we can create one div, and here we can give some class name as a, let's say, page div, and inside that we can create one button. Let's say its a label is a first. Here we can say class name page button, we can give some class name. So this is for first. Now here so let us add some CSS for this one, page div and page button, so that we can apply to the other, we can copy paste for other buttons. Now here is our page div. So here we can add margin top, which is a 5 pixel, and let us add for page button, so we can copy it, and for page button we can add border 1 pixel solid. Next we can add a margin left, let's say 5 pixel. We can add some font size, let's say 10 pixel. Next we can add some line height, let's say 12 pixel somewhere, and after that we can add border radius as well, which is a 5 pixel. And let us add some, let us save and check how it looks. Now it is showing first button. Now let us add some background color. We can use some background color, let's say 180, 194 somewhere, or we can use 222 or 221, and we can save it. This is for first button. Now similar way we can copy the few more buttons. So this is for first, and this is for previous, and this is for next, and this is for last, and we can save it. Seems good. Now in between these two we need to add one span, like let's say we can add some class name, let's say it's a page IDX index. For that we can use page index of page count. So this is to showing that current page out of page count. So let us add page index and page count. So here we can use, this is our filter. Here we can add page index, and let us add page count it here, and we can save it. Seems good. It is 0 of 1. Now initially it should show 1 instead of 0, and here we need to add some margin left. So this is our page index. We can copy, add some margin left. You can say 5 pixel, and we can save it. And for this here, just to show the 1, we can add page index plus 1. Page index starts with 0, and now it is showing 1 of 1. It seems good. Now next thing, like let us show 4 records per page. So for that we can go to it here, where we have defined our table row. Okay, Now here we can use like initial state, and for that we can use page size as a 4 records per page, and we can save it. Seems good. Now it is showing 4 records per page. Now once we click on next button, it should show the next page, next 4 records. So for that, let us add functionality. Now here, this is the next. We can add on click, and we can say it should show next page. And similar way for previous page, it should show previous page. Let us add these two, it here. This is the previous page, and we can add next page, and we can save it. Now let us check how it works. Now once we click on next button, it is taking us to the next page. Similar way, this is the previous button. Seems good. Now we have only 2 buttons because we have limited records. Seems good. Now once we click on next button, and once we reach on last page, it should disable next and last page. Okay. Now let us do that. Now this is the next page, and here we can use disabled, and here we can say can next page. Similar way we can use for last page as well, and this is for next and last page. Similar way, if there is no previous page, we need to disable it. So here, if there is no previous page, and we can copy this, and same we can use for previous and first. Now let us add these two, it here. Now this is our next page. After that we can use can previous page, and can next page, we can use it here. Let us save it. Seems good. Now as we are on the first page, it is disabling first and previous. Once you click on next page, it will take us to the next page, and we can see we are on the last page, so next and last button is disabled. Now let us focus on first and last functionality. Once we click on first button, it should take us to the first page. For that we can add go to page button it here, go to page, and we can use this, and let us go to our, this is the last section. Here we can use on click functionality, and it should go to, let's say it should go to page count, and it's a page count -1 because we can use. And here similar way, for first button we can add go to page count. Instead of page count, we can use like a 0 to show the first page, and let us check how it looks. Now once we click on last button, it will take us to the last page, and once we click on first button, it will take us to the first page. Seems good. It is working as expected. Now let us, with this we are done with all our functionality. Implemented our searching and pagination. Similar way we can use sort by sorting functionality. For that we can use sort by, and we can copy this and use into our table, and we can save. And one more thing we need to do, like we need to go to where exactly we are rendering the header. So this is the header, and here we can use column.get sort by toggle props. This is the function we can call on column, so that our sorting will work. Now let us see how it works. Now this is for name sorting, and this is for email, and this is for visitor ID. Seems good. Now if you want to add the arrow at name or these columns, so we can add that. Now this is our header section. Now here we can use column dot is sorted. If that is the case, we can add some span. And here we can use like column dot is sorted descending order. If that is the case, we are going to show like here, let me add complete the bracket. Okay, so here we are checking if it is sorted, and if the column is in descending order, sorted in descending order, then we are going to show some arrow. For that we can use Windows colon, and we can insert our particular arrow for this. So this is for if it is in descending, and let's say if it is in ascending, we can add one more arrow. This is the arrow, and we can save it. Now let us check our functionality, how it works. Now it is showing the arrow, seems good. This is for name, this is for email, and this is for purpose of visit. So with this we are done with our sorting functionality. So with this we are done with all our functionality which we have committed before we start this video. Thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed this video, give it a big like, share it with anyone who might find it useful, and don't forget to subscribe for more. I really appreciate all your feedback, so leave a comment down below and let me know what you think. See you all in the next one.